Okay, looks good. Alright, welcome guys. Welcome guys. Today is week 3 of the NAOL North American Online League um, reviews. Today we have some exciting games. We have 3 games in particular. Let's go check them out. And one of my favorite people in the world, James Sedgwick, is playing. He is the first game that we're gonna check out. 1 second. Let's see. Alright. Alright. James Sedgwick coming up. His opponent is Abraham. Abraham, that's a familiar name. Abraham Florencia. Abraham played in the North American professional qualifiers over the August, in which I was a part of, and that is also the reason I am 1P right now. So Abraham was one of the fellow competitors. He was the only player to stay at my hotel, or stay at the hotel that I stayed at as well. So Abraham, a very good guy. I picked the cheapest hotel out of the list, and then I stayed there, and apparently he did too. So very, very good man. He had mentioned that he's a mathematician or a math teacher or teacher of mathematics. So pretty interesting, pretty good. Here in this Zoom call, we're gonna start sharing my screen, sharing my window, and once I share my window, you guys should see the game. So Abraham Florencia, the math teacher, a Go player, participant in the North American professional qualifiers. And James Sedgwick, one of the strongest players in Canada, and definitely the best organizer in Canada, president of the Canadian Co-Association, 8th Dan on Fox. So very, very strong set of players here. All right, without any further ado, let's get started. All right. Abraham is black this game. James Sedgwick is white. Both are very, very strong players. So if you guys have seen the previous 2 commentaries by yours truly, by us, the last 2 times we had focused on the how do you say this? Not the hand-to-hand combat, but right before that, the big values, how to start the fighting well, how to use your thickness effectively, and so on. So today, we if what we talked about is any good or any important, today we're going to see a lot of those principles applied. Don't worry, they're not difficult principles. The principle is play away from your thickness, play away from your opponent's thickness, and also make sure you're attacking. When you're attacking, make sure you're also defending yourself and strengthening yourself, making territory for yourself at the same time. Okay, Joseki, and here black likely messed up this one, Joseki. From all that I remember, whatever I know about Go, you have to connect that 1 stone, and likely black is disliking this Joseki because black does need to spend 1 more move here. If you don't, this is likely to be a Ko of some sorts. And this is a direct Ko. Now if black had Atari'd this one first, it would be a one-step code. However, you don't want to Atari this because it allows, it forces white to capture this one stone. So it's like white plays a very big move anyway. So that's why black didn't want to play that variation. However, the game variation should also be very good for white as well. Okay. So to change that slightly, maybe if black blocks here, then there's no sentence anymore. Okay. Okay. However, black does secure sente here, so maybe this move isn't so bad as we had expected. But for sure, because of this N17 Blackstone being so close to this white thickness, there's no reason white is not happy with this. White, it's the only question is how good is white's shape here versus black locally, not whether it's good for white or whether it's good for black. Anyways, okay, but as long as you have sente, the game generally goes on in the early game. And so black does have sente, plays a double pincer against white's corner, very reasonable. And this is the new Josekis nowadays, this attachment, certainly very much AI inspired. Very much AI inspired, yeah, and we'll see how they play this. So this is one set of Joseki. All right, perfectly normal. And this CHEN is being played. White likely wants to use this D13 Atari as a very nice co-threat, and black was unable to find a co-threat, so we have this result. So now white has tremendously strong groups. Black has some territory, and white is efficiency-wise, white is doing very well. And so that's why it's the higher efficiency is all of white's advantages. Okay, as you guys can see though, the game still goes on. White, it looks like white has a big top, and maybe if white makes another move to surround, we can really see white's advantage in this game. But because white is so strong on the top, it's not so necessary for white to play on the upper side. Okay. All right. So now we come into the middle game, and even though what we have talked about is generally grouped as opening theory or go opening theory, it applies really more in the middle game rather than just the opening. So whenever you guys read a book about the openings in Go or how to play better openings, opening theory, direction of play, anything like that, when you read a book on Go, anything like that, whenever someone mentions it, just make sure that in your mind you're taking this information in and using it for your mid game and mid and later game, because the principles apply, and they apply much more, or they are much more important in the middle game. Okay, with that said, now we enter the middle game, and let's see what's going to happen. So white's strategy here is that white is going to be taking a lot of territory in the middle game and using the thickness that white had gained in the early game, the two ponukis on the upper side, and this way white has worry-free groups on the upper side. Now white's going to take more territory in these corners and really just play the game where it's like mutually destroying territory. And this is a very good strategy, given that white has these resources, the thickness resources. By the way, the strategy is when you are stronger than your opponent, you want to mutually destroy, because when you're stronger and you get tangled up, you are more likely to win these fights. And when you're weaker than your opponent, you want to mutually make and surround territory, because when you make territory, you're making territory with your weak groups. Remember, you're weaker, right? So when you're weaker, you want to mutually surround territory. When you're stronger, you want to mutually destroy. Just remember that one thing, one theme for today. Okay, so I think probably white wants to block and then play out this complicated fight. There's potentially white can fight with the other side or with those stones or something else. Either way, from what white did in the game, this move, this is going to give up the corner 3 stones. And so here we'll see this is definitely a loss for white, a loss for sure. Okay, and so fighting here continues. I'm sure there was something good that white could do, but it's hard for anyone to figure this out. Maybe the answer is something like this, and then here. Maybe it is, oh no, apparently not. Maybe it is something, it's these positions are notoriously difficult to figure out. Who knows? Anyways, and maybe white should be playing here. We don't know. Okay. In any case, here is a case where fighting went into the favor of black. All right. So white decides to play this Atari, and black captures and connects. Okay, so this fighting ended up with black keeping the territory, and then white separating the left-hand side black stone versus with the corner. Now white has this counterattack going. However, this fighting, because black kept the territory and secured strength, a worry-free strong position, as a result of the fight, this fight clearly goes well for black. Okay. And we see here the precision in the fight on black's part. Very good. And now that white has a weak group, this game is no longer looks what it did before, where white has worry-free groups, and then white would mutually destroy territory. As the game developed, black is able to surround a pretty big corner and create a weak group for white. So now the right-hand side and the left-hand side, where it's black's potential territory or potential to develop potential territory, these all become very attractive as white spends more moves defending this group. So as white plays here, not surrounding or destroying territory, but rather to defend the group, black is going to have some time developing territory, or black would destroy the top potential territory. So all things that are going in black's favor, factors are going into black's favor. This move is played to separate white from the bottom. Black is judging that if he keeps jumping, white has this pretty nice back door where white can connect, and then that way black would lose this thing. However, it may not be, it's good if you can get an exchange, but if you don't, because we have this kind of stuff, this attach, where black can destroy some more white territory. This may not have been completely necessary. And of course, the bad thing is, of course, you're never gonna get this move in Sente, right? White is for sure not gonna defend here. But white did defend here. Okay. All right, so this ended up with black in Sente taking away white's connection to the bottom. This further weakens white's position, and as a result, it'll make black's moves like this one, for example, surrounding a big moyo on the left-hand side, all the more powerful because some move like this peep, some other attacks like these tends to be Sente, and once these moves tend to be Sente, the left-hand side becomes more and more sure territory as a result. Okay, so as you can see, black is continuing to attack, and so we will notice that during the middle game, white has played ever since the lower right corner with that peep invasion at R4, R3. White has played many moves in the center, but white has not only not surrounded much territory, white has not surrounded his, not made his two eyes yet as well. So here you can see white is jumping out, running home, and black is also jumping out, but black is taking away white's potential territory on the upper side. So this black is outfighting white in this middle game in the value sense. He's definitely winning the value fight. Okay. And so here white makes a tenuki and then takes a move to surround the upper side territory. Clearly white is feeling the pinch on the territory. So here black keeps attacking white. Now white makes another move, which very dangerous. What if black captures? Can white live here? It's not easy to see. So first, white cannot cut like this. This way, white is cut. So if white has to connect, can white live in this area? Because this extend is Sente, it's very difficult to see a way for white to live here. There's some problems here, but okay. If both sides assume that white is alive, then it's not so bad. So, for example, in that last diagram, if white had exchanged this one first, white would be alive. It's just that make sure you exchange that. So here, I think basically white needs, because when white turns here, for example, it's Sente for now, and it ensures that the group lives. And if white doesn't do this, black likely will be able to capture white. So that's why, anyway, that's why we'll see the AI graph go up and down, up and down. Okay, so here black did play this move which further pressures white. White captures, black plays here. Is white going to be able to make this alive? I think right now both players are judging that white is alive. So that's why black played here on the left-hand side. Okay, captured one stone, white played there, okay. Okay, complicated fight ensues, and oh no, we have another classic life and death position that ended in black's favor, which was very unexpected. Here, yeah, black did this real well, didn't he? So here, so check this out. When white wants to capture black, white plays here, And this way white is ahead 1 liberty, but black plays this one and then this one, and now white is unable to fill this in, and black was able to find this 1 extra liberty. Could white have avoided this? Yeah, as long as white didn't play the Sansan, the Sansan point. Maybe, so for sure, if white can get black to connect, this is good for white. However, this way, white is gonna die. So it seems like some kind of a ko here is unavoidable. The good thing for white is this ko can be relatively favorable, a relatively favorable ko for white, like this. But because white was already not doing well this game, because black has surrounded the right hand side, surrounded a couple points in the middle, and generally have a lot of territory. So which is why white makes a lot of very territorially aggressive moves here to catch up in that territory. But then this happened, the being behind by 1 liberty, really, this is gonna end the game for white, end the game in black's favor. So here, a very high level game, and we saw that black was able to overcome a early game deficit through very good fighting the middle game. Again, very high level game, very tight. For white, maybe here was a way white really had to fight the most aggressive fight on the corner, maybe, and later on when black made this hane, perhaps we don't want to block here. Here, maybe white is thinking, just like black wants to prevent white from connecting, white wants to prevent black from connecting. That's why white blocked, and so maybe that was the thing. However, that was only the first mistake. I'm sure this kind of position is very difficult, notoriously very difficult to play, where any one move can be so important. Anyways, white did go for, when the territory pressure came to white, white was game, and white tried to catch up, but exposed a little bit too many weaknesses. Okay, so yeah. Who would have expected this white position with so many liberties, 5 liberties, to be short against this 3 liberty black group? How could you expect that? Could not. And well played. All right. And now we come to the second game. This game is played by Monstra, Alex 6, Sam, Lucy 1, 2, 3, 4. Their real life names are Alex FAN-CUI and Sam CHEN. Now my last name is Chen as well, so I have a favorite in this game. Okay, I think that's Sam, because Alex. Anyways, Alex is someone who is also a very strong player, so if they are similar, then I expect this game to be another close and fierce encounter. All right, let's go. In the beginning. Okay. By the way, if you want to take anything away from the last game was one where going into the middle game at a disadvantage, Black Abraham was able to, in the middle game, consistently consistently grab value during the fighting. That's why here he was continually making territory during the fighting, and he forced James to also sort of in an effort to catch up to this additional territory surrounded, to overextend and then exposed a weakness in the corner that was fully exploited. Okay, so so the lesson for today going forward is to remember to get a lot of value during your middle game. Remember that the opening is mostly about surrounding territory, getting influence, and doing valuable things. Take that into the middle game as well. Definitely continue to do this. So all the opening principles apply equally, if not more, aptly to the middle game. Just remember that. All right, so here the so black played a very unconventional Joseki with that Kasumi move, and here black played this extra Hane. Here it's very important to I would always make a cut like this, because if you don't cut now, your opponent is gonna make the Hane and then squeeze you in the corner, and then white is gonna find it very difficult to live without Ko here. Black is a dead shape. This is a dead shape. If you play this this move, this is a Ko shape. So any one of these is gonna be bad for white. So here, make sure you're cutting and counter-attacking, or at least you're making this Hane connect in Sente where you can live. This position is all about whether black's Hane connect is Sente or not. If black's Hane connect is not Sente, we can Tanuki. If it is, then we cannot Tanuki. So yep, make sure. So right now it definitely is Sente, and in this case black can do something worse than the Hane connect. Black can just extend at b16, and this way white cannot live in the corner without Ko. So definitely make sure to do that. Okay, so white extends, black places Hane connect. This does allow white to live, so even though it feels bad to allow black to have this Sente, but at least you lived. If black played this Hane and then extend, or just this extend, we're gonna really regret not having played that Hane. All right, Sente moves that accomplish purpose is very, very important, and that applies to the middle game just as much as anything. Okay. Again, here this cut is a very good starting point in the middle game fight, and that's because it greatly weakens black's shape. And basically, if you Atari, then white has this other Sente, and this other jump is also Sente, and all of a sudden you have a position where both sides are about as strong as each other, which completely negates any value that black has in this area. Now you're just as strong as your opponent, which means you have no what do you say, no assets in this region. I think that's what the military people say, assets. Anyway, and so if you don't want to make that Atari where he's going to extend, now that Sente is again very attractive, but black cannot go for it because the top Sente is even more attractive. So this is going to be a super important area for black. Defend somewhere like this, maybe like this. For white, makes a cut. Okay. Black plays another unconventional Joseki. This is a way to respond to it. Maybe again, probably white can cut first and then do this Joseki. Okay. All right. So this Joseki transitioned into an old Joseki where black is playing this attach and white is playing that attach, and something like this. Okay. So in this game, we have a very classic territory versus influence kind of game. Note how I did not say territory versus thickness game, and that's because with that cut, black's outside shape is not very strong. Black certainly has a lot of influence, a lot of potential over the board, but it's very important to attack the influence areas before it becomes thickness. Just to bring this back to our principles that we discussed before and reiterate today, you want to play away from enemy and opponent and your own thickness. You want to play where there is a lot of influence, but where the stones are not yet that strong. So for example, here we want to play away from white's lower right corner because it is very strong, but we don't want to, we want to play away from the lower right because it is strong. We want to play on the upper side because it is not so strong for both sides. Okay, in the game, white decides to not do the cut, but to do this reducing move. Of course, this is not the same as the cut, but it has the right idea. Okay, we'll see. And so black goes for the surrounding territory, white goes for the reductions, but you'll see that because black surrounds the top side with a relatively weak position, this also means that black fixed the weakness in the process of doing whatever he was doing. Black fixed the weakness in the process of surrounding his territory on the top. So again, this brings up a common advice that you guys have definitely heard of. Don't surround territory with your thickness. And that's exactly and this is illustrating exactly that. Here black did not have thickness, black had a weak point, and surrounding the territory also fixed the weak point, which is two birds with one stone, two functions with one move. It's like doing two things at once, so it's very efficient. If you're surrounding territory with thickness, you are only surrounding the territory. Here, you're doing both things, and here you'll see that black's position in the game is going to dramatically improve as a result. Okay, and the game goes on to the lower left. Okay, this may be a little overly aggressive, but good thing black catches himself. He does not continue the big fighting where he's split into two groups. Okay, and here white saves the bottom. Okay, I would recommend capturing the one stone on the left-hand side first. Somehow, maybe like this, maybe like this. And that's because relative to the bottom, remember we said the lower right is a strong point for white, a strong shape for white. The left-hand side is not exactly as strong, even though it looks like it has more stones, and that's because white's corner is not alive. Okay. White's corner is not alive, white's side is not alive, and white's center is not alive. All these different areas. And so when black starts the fighting here, we'll see white struggle a little bit here. The move is to cut here. If you cut on the upper side, there's this double Atari, which gives black the corner, which is disastrous for white. Uh-oh, we have the first blunder of the game. Um, so that's why white has to play here to prevent this Atari from happening. You can see black can capture that. So after this Atari, the only problem for white now would be the middle. And if you just have one problem, you can deal with it. You don't want like 3 problems. And so here's the first big major blunder of the game. White loses the 3 stones, and with the 3 stones, the 3 cuts that black had is all fixed. And yep, very disastrous result for white here. So even though white did manage to take care of the 2 groups, white has lost the some territory with the 3 stones. White has lost territory from white's side, and black has gained overall super superiority in the thickness. Okay, and so here comes another recall of the thickness principle we reiterated today, and recalling from the other 2 extremes. When you have thickness, you want to play away from it. And the same goes for your opponent's thickness. So right now, black is overwhelmingly strong here. You want to play anywhere but here. And as white, you also don't want to play here. So this is the definition of one of our principles. So even though this move, this Hane, it connects black's entire group from the middle to the bottom, seals white in, prevents the middle from being able to run out here, even though it looks like a huge move, a very important move, a very pretty move, because of how close it is to black's overwhelmingly strong thickness. It is not going to be that good of a move. Just because it is adding strength to a place that is already strong enough. Okay, so no matter how attractive this move looks, just in your minds, adjust it a little bit based on how strong you are next to it and how strong your opponent is next to this area. So here's a case where black is very strong and white is also very strong. White is alive, so definition of strong. So both sides are very strong. So even though this move looks like a no-brainer, it is not going to be a good move. It is definitely not going to be a good move. It's going to be definitely a bad move. The only question is how bad is it, or how small or not big enough it is. Okay. Alternatively, whenever you're in doubt, you say, I know I don't want to play here. Where do I play in the middle game? Alternatively, go for the territory. So this turn, very good. This surrounding territory here, very good. Attacking is another one, but attacking is uncertain, so I can understand if you don't choose it. So go for the territory when you have doubt. Connect here, that is going for territory. Play some sentes, like this top here. It's a sente endgame. It forces white to live. And when white plays here, it is sente because white threatens to squeeze next and break into your territory. So this kind of moves are all very attractive. Some kind of sente moves to pressure, push down white here. Yeah, all those are very good choices. Okay, all right. So in the game, white decides. White plays a very big territorial move, which is a first step to coming back, which is good. So here white is neglecting the middle. Clearly, after messing up so badly with those 3 stones, white is taking the strategy of allowing black to attack while white surrounds a lot of territory in order to come back, which is a very good strategy. And so here, yeah, black comes into the middle and goes for the attack. Very, very strong. And here, of course, white is in very, very big trouble. And however, this is what white wanted. This is how white had decided to come back in the game. Okay, when you are attacking, then make sure you want to push white towards your thickness as much as possible. So here, you don't want to block white from running on the left-hand side. Remember, we played e8, which was a very slow move, right? However, with that move, we have added, remember, we added strength on a already strong position, which means that position now is super, super strong. So you want to make white run towards that. So you know, make this kind of a move. If your top right mid is very strong, make white run into the top right, and that way you'll have a very easy time poking out the eyes later. Do not surround territory with your thickness as we're doing in the game. See, black has played moves that are surrounding territory in the middle here, and you're gonna allow white to, if you keep surrounding territory, you're gonna allow white to make the middle group alive as a result. White even takes this move to further reduce. Oh my god, this is surely too much. For the same reason that you don't want to surround territory with your thickness, you also don't want to reduce the thickness or take away the territory with that is being surrounded by your opponent's thickness for all the same reasons. Once you destroy the territory, you're not threatening black, so it is not going to be sente, and your opponent is going to have the move to do whatever he wants. So all these moves, all these exchanges are good for white, but if white plays the last move, ends up in gote, that is good for black. So none of these moves are worth very much in the value sense, again, because it is right next to thickness. There's no stones that are being killed or captured here. So each one of these moves are small moves. So white makes the last one, which means white wastes the extra move here, and black plays somewhere big. Here black is capturing the middle. Yeah. Would you rather destroy the 15 points or live with your middle, which is much, much bigger? Just think about this. The points that black surrounded in the 011, 012 area is already 10 points, and black is doing that all in sente. Okay, so the game continues with white trying to break out, and black, and now white does have a counterattack against this last black weakness here. And so here, again, same idea, you want to push your opponents toward the area where black is very, very strong, because that area is where the ice will not get made. And so here, black's attack pushes white into the one remaining area where black has some kind of a weakness, unfortunately. And here, a life and death struggle ensues, and black should just barely live by breaking into the bottom. Okay, good. Atari. However, you guys can see that this is a little risky, right? Okay. I think here, as black, you want to preserve this push. You want to just cut. If white Ataris, you Atari here. So you're not making the push Atari, you're making the cut Atari and then capturing. So for white, because white has to fix that cut, then black can capture this one. And it would be relatively easy for black to live with this group, because white is not alive. And then also the bottom side group is also not alive. So even if some kind of a co happens, black can just capture this corner and win. So a crucial reading error, however, this is very close. So it's very close, meaning one bad move can turn this fight. And as black, we could have avoided this by playing a little bit more precisely earlier on. So one thing was to make sure you're pushing your opponents toward your thickness instead of pushing your opponents towards your weakness. So like something like here, something like what we showed in the game, including the earlier attack, of course. And now this should still be good enough. Yeah, this should still be good enough to live as black. However, so for one thing, this jump may be a better move. However, I understand there's a potential turn which could result. Whenever it's a capture, it's never that easy to capture. Okay. Yeah. So in the game, black ended up having a ko here, where having a ko here. Not sure. Oh yeah, here white can connect, and because we didn't make that push yet, white is not blocking here. White is playing that Atari, and now white has secured a counter capture against this black group. Very unfortunate. Okay, and the game has indeed happened this way. Black is going for what is this? A counter liberty fight with the middle. However, white is going to win that. Black's compensation is capturing these 5 stones. Black did lose this entire group in the process of capture, which is also disastrous. However, comically, this well, not comically, interestingly, the game is very close right now because of how much white messed up earlier, how much of a big lead black had. Given this big screw up, black is still in the game. Okay. And we have come to the end game stages. A very pitiful amount of liberties. But the game is very, very close right now. Lots of co's. Let's see who eked it out in the end game. Usually when you mess up very big and allow your opponent to come back, usually the movie ending is that you lose by half a point in the end. We'll see if in that case it would be black losing by half a point in the end. That's how the movies would play it. But how did our real life game end up? This game ended up in black's favor slightly. Black won the game by 1.5, it seems, depending on the rule set. But if black wins by 1.5, it means it's at least 8 points on the board. So black is winning no matter what rules we use. So the picturesque ending, black messed up huge in order for white to come back into the game and make it even, but black eked out the final result by 1.5 points. So very, very good. Takeaways from this game: remember, surround territory with some kind of a weakness that you're fixing at the same time. That is the efficient way to do it. Um, and don't surround so the first surround of territory was very good for black because black's positions were not very strong. We're talking about the surround on the top right here. The second surround was territory after white has messed up in this lower left corner, messed up major. The second surround of territory through this attack was very, very bad as a result. It allowed white back into the game a little bit. So yeah, you want to make your thickness shine. Therefore, you want to make as much activity happen next to your thickness as possible. So you want as many stones placed around your thickness as possible, preferably by your opponent, not by yourself. So that's how you make your strongest points shine through, your strongest aspects of your game shine through. You make your thickness, you make your opponent play right next to your thickness so that your opponent can bask in your greatness, something like that. You never want to bask in your own greatness because you take it away in the process. So don't surround territory with thickness, surround it with some weak stones. It is much more efficient that way. You'll see your AI evaluation go up when you do the right thing. If you bask in your own glory, like right now, you'll see your AI win rates drop as a result, and so on. Okay, and so here also for when you're on the other side, when your opponent has a very strong area, don't try to reduce that. Just play something else that is big. Pick another fight. Here, white paid the ultimate price, the price of neglect, the price of being ignored. Here, so before this, white almost came back, and here white allowed black to get very high, much ahead again because of it. And during the attack, again, push your opponents towards the areas where you're strong, not where you're weak. Where you're weak, you want to surround the territory with it, like this right-hand side. You want to surround the territory here. You don't want to surround the territory where you are strong. Yes, we're just repeating the same thing over and over again. Let's repeat it one more time. Push your opponents towards the places where you're strong so that your thickness, your strongest attributes have a chance to shine, and then surround territory where your stones are weak, because that is much more efficient. You're not only surrounding the territory, you are also fixing a weakness. Okay, and so this game is a perfect illustration of that. Black pushed white into the one area where black is weakest on the board, and black was one screw up, and white was able to come back from the game. You can see here, black just had enough to completely destroy white's position. Black is up by 78 points, but one move, and black is only up by much less, 2 points. One move, 76 points gone. And a couple moves later, white is getting ahead now. Or you guys know it. This is not the strongest AI reading, but you guys see the point. And black having won the game by 1.5 points does illustrate that. Okay, push your opponents towards your strongest positions. Surround territory with your weakest positions. Okay, seems like it all makes logical sense, or it makes intuitive sense. Just very easy stuff. But if we're not remembering these. We're not recalling what Mike talked in during his reviews during our tournament games, right? What did Mike say? That's not what any of us think. That's not what any of us thinks about during our tournament games. So it's better to hear it during the review, get it into your system, get it into your practice, make it your own idea, reword it however you like, and then during your tournament games, you guys can make the good judgments or the good decisions. And so, all right, Dylan Zhang, who is from Canada, with a Canadian flag, versus Itarios, our last game of the night. This is Dylan Zhang versus Luis Palacios. Okay. All right. These are 2 Qs on OGS. Again, you guys are right at the spot where you're almost able to remember your games. If you are able to remember, it is a very powerful tool to go over later. If you're not able to remember, don't worry. These games are perfectly good because there's a game record of it remembered by the computer or the internet, and perfect way to practice and get stronger. Okay, a very complicated Joseki. I hope you guys memorized this a bit. White clearly memorized this Joseki with this Hane. I would never have came up with it myself if it came up. The Hane is basically taking away this move by black, this squeeze move by black, which white is losing by 1 liberty here, and this Hane prevents this squeeze move because of this code situation. I think more importantly, white does not flight the code, white connects, and who would have thought, and I had no idea that this position is actually much better for white than it is for black. You just have to take my word for it. I was shocked, as shocked as everyone else is when I saw this variation. Anyways, white clearly has done his Joseki homework and played the right things. Black is forced to play the right things, which makes this Joseki relatively easy for black to play, isn't it? Black is forced to capture these 6 white stones. Even though the local Joseki is very even, it is very even though the local Joseki is even, black is at a much lower risk with this Joseki than white. But good job, white, for remembering this Joseki. Very good. The only problem though is with players that have remembered these Josekis is that remember, if your relative strength is in the early game, inevitably your relative weakness is in the latter game. So this does not bode. The fact that white has remembered the Joseki very well in this game does not bode well for his chances later. Now I say this as a totally probabilistic speak. It is of course, with all else being equal, you'd rather know your Josekis better, but it's just anyways, let's go. Remember from before, we have repeated endlessly, you play away from your thickness, you play away from your opponent's thickness, you play near your own weak stones, and you surround territory with your weakest stones first. Okay, so this push is likely not very good. One, it is next to black's strong stones, and it is also next to white's relatively strong stones. So the exchange when you are on the inside versus an outside stone, it is not going to be very good. Secondly, However, white does recover from that very, very well by again making an outside peep versus a black on the inside. Does that apply to people who play Taisha too? Asking for a friend. Agree 100%. Anyone who relies on complex Josekis to get ahead is so if they are as strong as you and they know these complex Josekis better than you, they should be at a higher rank than you. Given that they're at the same rank, then you know that later on in the game's gonna go easier and easier. Generally speaking. So if someone shows some complex Josekis, don't take it as a sign that they're strong. Take it as a sign that you have, you don't have much to worry about as the game goes on to the later game. So a little bit of a counterintuitive thing. When they look scary, they're actually not so scary. Or they'd be in the higher section, in the open section or something, right? Okay. All right. So again, with that same idea said, this next move is it's next to black's strength, which is not as desirable for us. However, it is next to white's relatively not so strong area in the middle. So rather than here, though, I'd like to see white back off a little bit more and sort of just focus on surrounding the center. And here we're going to repeat one more time. I know, one more time. When you are stronger than your opponent, you want to mutually destroy. When you are weaker than your opponent, you want to surround half and half. You want to keep your distance. So yeah, I will not make any real world comparisons there, but the real world will operate the same way. You guys just watch. Okay. Okay. With that said, we'll see here. This is a classic case of territory and thickness versus influence. Black is the one with territory and thickness, meaning his stones are stronger, versus white having a lot of influence but weaker stones. Okay. Connect. Okay. So here, this bottom right-hand side for white is very, very big because white is relatively weak here. This middle move here, again, because it's so close to black's strengths, at least play one space away, right? And in fact, the further away it is, the better it is. So, okay, in the game, white plays there. Black plays the Hanes here. So black is playing in the right areas. Black is playing in the location on the board where white has a relative weakness. But definitely keep playing here. Okay, in the game, black played on the lower left, which is sort of aiming into the center. That's generally an okay direction to play. Just remember, guys, when you're doing any kind of a reduction of your opponent's territory, make sure to reduce at your opponent's weakest area, not where your opponent has not the biggest area. Reduce the weakest area, because the weakest area tends to be sente because your opponent is weakest. Okay. Okay, this is another version of the thickness idea that we talked about earlier, and we have repeated for the many times. Okay, so here it is important for white to be surrounding the bottom middle where you are not only surrounding territory, you're also fixing weakness, rather than, for example, the left-hand side where you basically have an alive group anyway. Note that this move is sente, so you have an extra eye space here, so that group is extra strong. Okay. With that said, this move is locally in the right direction where white is surrounding, not on the left side, but on the upper side, which makes sense in the strength perspective. However, because of how strong black is, it's a little too close to black's strengths again. Too close. And so this cut is, again, runs into the same problems as before. You're surrounding the location where you're already strong and where your opponent is already strong. At best, you're going to surround a little bit with Gote. At worst, you're going to expose more middle of the board weaknesses to your opponent. Make sure black connect your two stones, invite that cut, and capture this one stone. Okay. In the game, this connect, you know, black is thinking all in terms of territory here, and gave white a lot of thickness with these two stone captures. This also damages the outside two stones, so a lot of damage was done to black's area positions. Okay, and white has gained valuable cente. Okay, this move is exactly why we want to play where our opponent is weaker rather than stronger, because this part of the board, white has overwhelming strengths with these upper side group, and you'll see black making a very very safe but very it's like you're accepting that you're being bullied kind of a move here. Okay, white surrounds territory here again for the same reason. You don't want to do it. If you do want to do it, play one space away at least, preferably 2 spaces away. This is next to white's strengths. However, it is slightly further away from black's strengths. The game is going to open you up to this cut, which threatens to capture 2 stones. And to prevent that, you're going to save your 2 stones, and black can play on the outside. Okay, let's see who is going to play on the lower right, where the biggest points are on the board first. Okay, these are all cente moves for black, so that's okay. That's okay. Oh, here black does major damage to white. So good job, black. But here, maybe right here is where white wants to continue to fix, you know, where white is a little bit weaker. In the game, white saved every stone that white had, including this one. But, you know, I'm sure white would take it back and play here if he could. Or I'm pointing out that you should, if you could take it back. Don't save that 1 stone. Okay. So in the game, black was able to do major damage to white's upper side. And remember, if we had followed the principles that we repeated for the x+1 time, play away from your opponent's super strong positions, we could have avoided this as white. In the game, white didn't. White strayed from our advice, and he's paying the ultimate price for it in the form of a lost clump of stones. So more desperate fighting here, and we'll see. This other 6 stones also perished, and we can see the game just going worse and worse for white. White is just making move after move that is in a relatively dead area, and this concludes this game with white's territory being completely transformed into groups and groups of dead stones. Unfortunately for white, our predictions were relatively on point. Now I saw the AI graph, so it wasn't like I made a blind guess. But remember, this game showed in many instances the importance to keep remembering, play away from your opponent's strongest areas, because at best you're gonna play a Gote move that is not very big, and at worst, as white is shown here, when fighting happens, at worst you're gonna turn your positions your stones into dead stones, and you're going to suffer a lot of major damage there. So x+1, at best, you're making moves that are small. At worst, you're going to end up bringing yourself into fights against a very strong area, against an area where against an opponent who has very strong positions, and we know that is not going to end well. So coming back to our original prediction, even though White in this game has studied his Joseki to the T, Joseki to the every last letter, including T, which doesn't exist in Joseki yet. Who comes up with this move without remembering this Joseki? Even though White has studied his Joseki super well, as the game went on, um, we discovered that White started losing the fights and committing a lot of the errors, um, um, with regards to the direction of play. You could chop these errors up to reading problems. You could get around a lot of these problems by having better and better reading. You can have you can use our method, which is just remember to play according to the thickness principles. You can just try to find where the biggest points are and play there. Just remember to surround territory with your weakest stones. You could have there are many ideas we have brought up in this review that could have helped White play much better. And again, as we have said, during your tournament games, you're not remembering what Michael is saying or Zicha Mike is saying. You're not like you're gonna try to, hopefully you guys can take away some ideas from this, internalize it, come up with your own representations of these ideas. These are not my original ideas. You'll find most of these in some books, some form of book or another. Come up with your own understanding of these ideas. And during your games, any one of these could help you make much better decisions. Okay, with that said, we have ended our review. And just remember, if someone pulls out complicated, complex Josekis against you, and they're at the same rank as you, it is not a sign that you should be worried because you don't know this Joseki. It is that you should be happy because if they're the same rank as you and they're putting all their strength points into these Josekis, they have to be weaker in the latter game, and the game is going to go on from the early game into the middle game onto the late game. So don't panic, and it's not a bad sign. It is actually a good sign. Just look at how Black won the game in the end, capturing 1, 2, 3 and a half groups. The corner could be alive or dead. Yeah, with that said, have fun. Have fun in your next games. Yep, this is the Chen Mike signing out. Catch my streams sometimes on Twitch. Take care and see you guys next week for the other lectures. Not lectures, other reviews. All right, have a good one. This ends our review portion for today. See you guys next time. All right, we are Xing out of this meeting room. See you guys. All right, we're gonna save a recording of this onto YouTube. If you guys are watching this review on YouTube, this would be our another upload later. So welcome chat on Twitch. This will end our stream for today. Enjoy Go. Go is not that complicated. It is impossible to protect. Go is impossible to be perfect at, but that is where all the fun is. But it's not that complicated to play well. So enjoy. I will see you guys next time.